Welcome to The Explainer. You know, you're on the witness stand, you swear to tell the whole truth, and then you're asked a crucial question and your mind just goes blank. You say, I don't remember. What happens then? Well, today we're going to crack open the legal system's fascinating toolkit for dealing with exactly that problem.
So let's just jump right into it. You've got this massive contradiction, right? The entire justice system, it's built on the idea of truthful testimony. But at the same time, we all know human memory can be, well, let's just say it's not a perfect video recording. It's famously unreliable. So how on earth does the law handle that? How do you square that circle? That's what we're here to find out.
All right, so first things first, we have to talk about the memory problem itself. To really get what's going on, you've got to understand this core legal idea, a concept called orality. It's pretty much the whole reason we even have witnesses speaking live in a courtroom.
And here it is, the central tension in a nutshell. On one side, you've got orality. This is the court's big ideal, right? The idea that the best, purest evidence comes straight from the witness's mouth, unfiltered, spontaneous. They want to see you remember it. But then you have the cold, hard reality. Our memories are just not built that way. They fade, details get fuzzy. By the time a case actually gets to trial, years might have passed. It's a real dilemma.
So how do we bridge that gap? Well, the legal system has a pretty common sense starting point. Getting witnesses prepped before they even get on the stand. It's not just allowed, it's seen as absolutely necessary for a trial to work at all.
Now, this isn't the Wild West. There are very, very strict rules. A lawyer can, walk a witness through the courtroom, explain who sits where, what the order of events will be, and a witness can and definitely should review their own statements or depositions. But, and this is a big but, the court draws a super hard line at what's called coaching. We're talking about telling a witness what to say, or having multiple witnesses get together to sync up their stories. That is a massive no-go, and courts have zero patience for it.
Okay, but here's the catch, and it is a huge one. Let's say you use a legally privileged document to get ready for your testimony. Maybe it's a confidential note your lawyer wrote you. The second you do that, poof, that privilege is gone. It's waived. That means the other side's lawyer can stand up and say, Your Honor, I want to see that document. This turns witness prep into a really high-stakes strategic game for the legal team.
All right, so you've done all the prep, but now you're actually in the courtroom. The lights are bright, everyone's staring, and your mind just goes blank. What happens when the forgetting happens right there on the stand?
You know, a judge once wrote something that just perfectly captures the, let's say, cynical reality of all this. He basically said that in most cases, refreshing memory isn't about refreshing memory at all. The witness doesn't suddenly have a flashback to the event. Nope. What they're really doing is trusting their past self. They're swearing that even though their memory is a perfect blank now, they know they wrote it down correctly back then.
So, to make sure a witness isn't just up there reading from a script someone handed them, the court has some really strict conditions. The key one is that the document, whatever it is, had to have been made or at least verified by the witness when the event was still fresh in their mind. And why is that so important? Because the court is putting its faith not in the witness's memory today, but in the accuracy of the witness back when they made the record.
And this brings us to a bedrock principle of the legal system: transparency. The second a witness uses a document on the stand to help them testify, it is no longer private. It becomes fair game. The opposing lawyer has an absolute right to see it, to cross-examine the witness on it, to ask questions about when and how it was made. It's kind of like that old saying, sunshine is the best disinfectant. Nothing gets to hide.
Okay, hang on, because this is where things get really wild. We're not just talking about simple notes anymore. The law actually has rules for some, let's say, unconventional memory joggers. We're talking hypnosis, tapes, even how cops work together.
Yeah, you heard that right, hypnosis. Some jurisdictions, like California for example, actually allow testimony that was recalled under hypnosis. But, and this is a huge but, they are so worried about creating false memories that the safeguards are just extreme. You need an independent expert to do the hypnosis, the entire thing has to be videotaped, and, this is the most important part, the witness can only testify about things they remembered before the hypnosis. Anything new that comes up is out. It's all designed to make sure the memory isn't contaminated by the process itself.
The law also has to deal with other really specific situations. For example, it's pretty common for police officers to work together on their reports. The rules allow for this. They can use those collaborative notes to testify. And then there's this incredible case where a blind person was allowed to verify a document. How? They had dictated it to someone, who then read it back to them. The court said, yep, that counts. It's a great reminder that verification doesn't just have to be with your eyes.
Okay, so let's try to make sense of all this. How does the law justify this whole process, especially when we know, like that judge said, that a lot of the time the witness doesn't actually remember? It all comes down to a very clever, very important distinction the law makes between memory and the record.
It all boils down to these two fancy-sounding legal phrases. On one hand, you have present recollection revived. That's the easy one. It's when you look at a note or a photo and boom, the memory actually comes flooding back. You can now testify from your actual revived memory. On the other hand, you have past recollection recorded. This is for when you look at the document and nothing. Your mind is still a blank. But you can swear on the stand that you know for a fact that document was accurate when you created it.
And for that first one, the revived memory, the law gets almost poetic. There's this famous quote from a judge who said it could be anything. The creaking of a hinge, the whistling of a tune, the smell of seaweed, that can suddenly bring a memory rushing back. If a document does that, fantastic. The court's totally fine with it. But the key here is that the evidence is your testimony, not the piece of paper that triggered it.
Now, past recollection recorded, that's the real legal magic trick. It's basically a brilliant hack to get around the hearsay rule. Normally, you can't just read a document into evidence because it's an out-of-court statement. But with this, the witness gets on the stand and says, look, I don't remember the event, but I swear under oath that when I made this document, it was true and accurate. They're vouching for their past self. And by doing that, the document itself can basically become the testimony. It's a really clever way to get crucial information into the record.
So let's pull back and look at the big picture here. After all this, all these rules and strange exceptions, what does it all say about the court's search for truth?
When you get right down to it, this whole system isn't about some magical trick to perfectly restore a memory. The courts are realistic. They know that's impossible. Instead, the real goal of all these rules is to create a process that is transparent, a process that is fair, and most importantly, a process that can be challenged every step of the way. It's not about achieving perfection, it's about honestly and openly dealing with our all-too-human imperfection.
And that really leaves us with a deep final question to chew on. If we know that memory isn't like a video playback, that it's really a reconstruction that we build every single time we try to remember something, then what is our system of justice, which relies so heavily on that memory, truly built on? That's a puzzle worth thinking about. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.